Hello, algebra students. I am going to talk to you today about how to find the equations of lines that are parallel to each other and how to find equations of lines that are perpendicular to each other. And so I'm assuming that you've already studied how to find the slope of a line and that you've already studied the three forms of the equation of a line. If not, I recommend you go back and find those videos. I've made videos for each form and a video about the slope. Go back and watch those first and then come back to this video about parallel and perpendicular lines. So first, parallel lines. Let's recall from geometry. In geometry, you learned that parallel lines are coplanar lines, lines in the same plane, that never intersect. They have no point of intersection. And that's important to remember because then you have the visual of parallel lines that never intersect, but they're in the same plane. And you can see that parallel lines have the same steepness or the same slope. So algebraically, we know that parallel lines have the same slope. Their slopes are equal. We can use that to help us figure out the equation of mystery lines. So in this case, here's the question. Find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that is parallel to this guy and passes through this point. So if somebody tells you that your line that you're looking for is parallel to that other line, it's a sneaky way of telling you the slope because the slopes are the same. So when you first attack this problem, you have to remember that what do they want from me? They want you to give you the final answer in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So let's put that on ice for a minute. We're going to have our final answer in this form. But now back to the problem at hand. We're asked to find the equation of the line that's parallel to this line. Well, we know this line, y is isolated, so the slope is obvious that the slope is 6. If my line is parallel to this line, then my slope is also 6. And I know that I go through that point. So now I know the slope and a point, so I could easily put it into point-slope form by plugging those numbers in, because my point, x is 1. My y value for the point is 3, minus a minus is plus, and my slope is 6. But be careful, I was asked to give my final answer in slope-intercept form, so I've got to get y alone. No worries, I can distribute the 6 and subtract the 3 to have my final answer. So pause and you practice on your own paper and then press play for the solution. So we want to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that's parallel to this line and goes through this point. So parallel to this line means my line has the same slope. Be careful, it's not easy to see right away what the slope of this line is. The first thing we've got to do is put that line into a form where I can easily figure out what is the slope of that line. So I have to determine the slope by getting it into slope-intercept form, getting y alone. Once I have y alone, then I see clearly what the slope is. And if my line is parallel to that line, then my slope is going to be the same. So my slope is also -2. And it goes through this point. So now I know the slope and a point. And I can use the point and the slope. And I can, if I have a point and a slope, then using the point-slope formula would be the best choice for getting to the equation of the line right away. I can put in my x is -3, minus a minus is a plus, and y is 4. And now it is in point-slope form. But I was asked to give my final answer in slope-intercept form. So I've got to get y alone. I can distribute, and then I can add 4 to both sides to get my final answer in slope-intercept form. Now, let's talk about perpendicular lines next. Remember from geometry that a line is said to be perpendicular to another line if those two lines intersect, forming a right angle. Now let's talk about the same concept, but algebraically. Perpendicular lines are lines whose slopes are opposite and reciprocal of one another. So they're opposite, meaning they have opposite signs. So one of them is positive, the other slope is negative if they're perpendicular. And in addition to that, they are the reciprocals of one another. So they're the opposite sign and the reciprocal, meaning the flip-flop. So if I'm the number 4, 4 over 1, the reciprocal will be 1 over 4. If I'm the number 2 over 3, the reciprocal is 3 over 2. But be careful, because they have to be reciprocal and the opposite sign. All of that has to be going on in order to have the lines be perpendicular. Their slopes have to be opposite and reciprocal. So with that in mind, let's do this practice problem. So find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that's perpendicular to this line and that passes through this point. So if you're told something is perpendicular, it's a sneaky way of telling you the slope, but you have to be really careful that you've made it the opposite sign and the reciprocal. So the first thing we have to do is realize we're asked for our final answer in slope-intercept form, so we'll remember that. And we're told that our line that we're looking for is perpendicular to this line. What is this line's slope? This line's slope, because y is alone, I can clearly see the slope is -4. So what will my slope be? The opposite sign, positive, and the reciprocal, 1/4. So now I know my line has slope 1/4 and goes through this point. If I have the slope and a point, I can use point-slope form. And then I'm told I want to get it in slope-intercept form, so I can get y alone. I can distribute, and then I can add 5 to both sides and end up with slope-intercept form. So now you try, and then on your own paper, and then press play for the solution. You want to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that it is perpendicular to this line and goes through this point. So first of all, my final answer is going to be in slope-intercept form, and it's perpendicular to this line. Well, this line has slope 1/2. I can see clearly because y is alone and it's in slope-intercept form, so I can see the slope. And it goes to this point. So if that line has slope 1/2, then, and my line is perpendicular, my slope will be the opposite sign, that's positive, so I'll be negative. And it's the reciprocal. If that's 1/2, I'll be 2 over 1. So my slope will be -2 or -2 over 1 and goes through this point. So now I have the slope and a point, so I can put it in point-slope form. And now I can do what I'm asked. I was asked to get my final answer in slope-intercept form with y alone, so I can distribute, and I can add 4 to both sides to get my final answer in slope-intercept form. And so that does it for parallel and perpendicular lines. So I will leave you with Pinot and Willow and wish you a great day.